weekend. This is the weekend of July 16th, and I wanted to go over the weekly recap for last week, which was the end of the week of July 14th, 2017. Go over some of the trades, look at some of the stocks that are currently in flight and the ones that are waiting to be launched. And I have a special announcement regarding Trade Ideas open house that starts tomorrow. If you haven't taken the opportunity to sign up, you should do so. We have the rest of today, and you'll be fully ready to go tomorrow if you decide to try it out. It's only 1 week, so great opportunity to take it. So let's go over our performance for last week. So last week was pretty good. It's a good, nice, steady week. Nothing crazy in terms of profit, but overall accuracy was very good. We had 11 total launches, with 8 of them being winners and 3 of them being losers, which puts us at a profit-taking accuracy of 73%, and an average profit for the week per trade $2.6%. So the ones that were losers, the one that I would say the most disappointed about was RSO, because that one I pretty much held on the longest, almost 2 weeks, which if you look at some of my average hold times, has never been this long. It's probably the longest stock that I held over, but it ended up triggering our stop loss and exiting. And last week I talked about that one in particular, saying that I might hold it all the way down to the 200-day moving average. I just decided to get out and then wait till it tests that level, and if it bounces off from there, maybe it presents another opportunity to enter. But overall, the rest of the week was pretty good. We had the highest profit was 8% on BLFS, and the rest were hovering around 7 to 4% range. Again, the only large loss was on CEI, and that one is okay because it's only a 35-cent stock, and I rarely post these in my launch lists anymore, but once in a while there might be 1 or 2 names that have a lot of attention, and we've seen a lot of parabolic moves lately with these sub-penny or sub-dollar stocks, so it was kind of an interesting one, and it did end up taking the abort price, and since it's a lower than $1 type of stock, even very lower than 50-cent stock, I'm not too concerned about the higher percentage loss, just because if I take 2,500 shares, it's still going to be a very insignificant loss. It was like $75 loss, so it wasn't a big deal, and that's why I gave myself a little bit more on the abort price, just because of the percentages are usually these small price stocks make large percentage moves in either direction. So I decided just to try it out. It didn't work out. I think it still is in play. I don't know, unless you take like a 10,000, 12,000 or 20,000 share size, it doesn't amount to a whole lot. So let's take a quick look at the market before we head into the actual stock. So obviously the SPY was showing, like last week, it was showing kind of some weakness, as it had several declining days on above average volume, which kind of tends to be more of like a distribution, meaning that institutions and large funds are dumping shares a lot. However, not sure what happened. As soon as it tried to test this trending channel level, which has been sort of a support at least all the way back since December of last year, it did not break it, and it tested it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then the market decided to bounce off of it. And you can see all the moving averages starting to also converge upwards. Although we did break the 50-day moving average, it was able to recover on the 11th and gapped up higher. And same thing was with the Qs and the other major indices. So it gapped up a little bit higher, and then we had 3 continuous days of upward momentum, and we hit all-time highs. So you got to scratch your head a little bit and say, is this sustainable or not? And everybody who's bullish thinks this continues to go, and there might be a good case for why that might go. Let me try and draw this upper channel if there's something that makes sense here. I would say there's probably one sort of like here. You know, with the exception of this day, it looks like that might be the trending channel that we're working through. So yeah, it might test the upper limits of this channel and then curl back, go down. The only thing that's kind of concerning with this move upwards is that the days where it moved up, the volume was below average. I mean, barely on Friday, maybe we would say it was average volume, but we haven't been seeing large volume coming into the market for a long time, except for these distribution days, or what looked like to be distribution days. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them over the last since May. So usually they say over the last 21 sessions or so. If you have more than 7 distribution days, that kind of is signaling potentially the end of the rally and a reversal in the trend. Can't argue that it is. I'm not a major technician from when it comes to the indices, but it's good to know that the market is bullish, but it's also good to be cautious, because that rug could be pulled fairly quickly. And the days we have declines, look how bad this decline was, look how bad this decline was compared to the up days. So maybe all the way back here was probably one of the most bullish days with huge volume. Oh, that was the day after the election. So yeah, I mean, we haven't replicated that day since the election day. This one might have came close, but anyway. All right, so that's the overall look at the market. Just be careful when you take long positions, and most of our launch list stocks are only valid for a day or two in terms when they launch to the profit or report price. So I'm not too concerned, but just be careful. All right, so what's the winners? The best one we had was BLFS, 8% winner, and we talked about that last week or the week before when it was on our watch list. So that one had multiple spikes in prior days where it spiked a lot in one day and then spiked and retracted. So it kind of offered a little bit of a gap. And the idea there was if we broke this resistance here, we would target about a 6%. I was actually more generous on this one, about 10%, just because it has a tendency to move really fast once it hits that level, as demonstrated here and demonstrated there. So the idea was about 10% enter here at $3.05 and take profit at $3.35. Now, I probably was too early, took the profit early, because the following day it ripped even higher and made it all the way to $3.75, which cleared this level, but still is working within this level. Now, does it mean it's going to test 440 level? Possibly, but it ended up down all the way to here. So we'll have to wait and see the next few days. The last day, Friday, was kind of a huge sell-off day, so not necessarily too optimistic about the prospects for this in the short term. So I took my profit, 8% winner, according to a plan, worked perfectly. The next one is TRVN. So TRVN, same idea. We had it on our watch list. The idea was that if we broke this level here of the resistance, it came on the watch list on the 13th based on the information here on the 12th. Looks like it was curling up, clearing a couple of important moving daily averages, and it had the 50-day to challenge, and then we have the 100 and 200. So the idea was just trying to trade within this range, break of this resistance here, up to potentially this level here where it found resistance in the past, and that's kind of what we did. It opened up, it crossed our entry level, made it to our target level, and if you look at actually ended up, let's see, look at like the 15-minute chart. I can't remember if it made it intraday. Yeah, so after we hit our profit target, it just came all the way in, and you would have aborted the next day. So I entered this one on the 13th and exit on the 14th at the opening candle here. Close to or at the, yeah, I went actually 298, so it actually was slightly higher than what the plan was. Next one was IPI. So some of the mineral stocks were pretty strong. This one had very nice upward momentum based on all the bullishness in terms of covering or crossing all the daily moving averages. And I had also a prior level of resistance from the intraday here and here. So the idea was if we broke this level here, we have sort of this wick to kind of work into, and the idea was to try and get 6%, which I always target with these kind of moves, and that's what we got. Broke this level here on the 11th, and on the 12th took profit right at the 292 level, which gave us a good 7% winner. The chart still looks bullish actually, despite this pullback, and maybe it's going to form like a little handle and then try to rip higher. So keep an eye on it. But we took our profit from it, and we'll look at another opportunity to get in. Next one is BASI. That one, similar playing within this kind of big wick here, waiting for this level of resistance to break. That was the idea, and then give us another 6%, and that's exactly what happened again. We put it on the launch list for the 11th based on information on the 10th. It did launch on the 11th, and let me see here, yeah, and then on the same day just took all the profit at the target profit of $2. So it made a little bit move up higher than that, but I just took it at 2. Was a good winner, classic. Nothing too crazy about it. It's very bullish chart as well, I would say, just from the fact that it's trending upwards, clearing holding all the moving averages, and then has all these levels to challenge in the future. Once it crosses, I think the 240, it starts to become a little bit messy on the resistance side. Next one was MITK, and MITK. That came also on the list on the 11th based on this huge move that it showed on the 10th, which broke this prior level of resistance. So that was a bullish sign. So when it does break a prior level of resistance, so let's say over here, one of two things will happen. It's either going to continue to go up higher, or it's going to try and form a handle. In this case, it didn't retract. It was going to try and looked like it just ripped up higher. So it cleared, because it cleared also this level of resistance all the way back here. So that was kind of the plan for this launch. I saw it was bullish on this day because it cleared this level. It had to contend with with this level here, with the potential window over there, and sorry, at 950 to 10. So yeah, all the way back. You had to go back all the way back here actually to see that level. There we go, over here. So if we broke the 950, we had an opportunity to go to 10 just because of the gap, and that's what it did. So, and it didn't take too long to do that. So it basically, on the day we put it on the launch list, it launched, held it for 1 day, took the profit second day, which was on the 12th of July, for a 5% winner. All right, very nice profit on that one. And then CLD, that one I think launched, yeah, so that one launched on the 10th. It came on it has been on our launch list for a while, so it was since June 26th. The idea was to break this level here and then maybe give us an opportunity to play within this window of resistance. And what happened was it held for a long time. It tried to cross it, and then finally we got the breakthrough on the 10th, and it launched, never almost touched actually the abort on the following day. Let me see what I did on that one. I took out the profit on the 12th. So yeah, so it launched on the 10th here, right there. Opened up going down. It did actually cross this one. I don't know why I didn't take my abort price on that one, but held on to it, I guess. And sometimes these moves happen instantaneously, and I don't put a stop loss order if that's I always put my orders manually. And it ripped higher and then actually made it to our target and then came back, still tested that level 365. So it's holding on that level. Not sure what it's going to do next, but it was a nice, interesting, good trade. Probably not as strong as other ones just because it still has the 200-day and the 100-day to fail it to break the 100-day moving average was kind of what was the plan, was not probably a natural resistance level. And that worked out. And then the next one is AGFS. AGFS was a former bullish move all the way from here. I mean, look how much it's ripping, and it continues to rip higher. And I talked about it last week and saying that it was kind of holding at this level, it's forming a base. And if it broke, we have this small window of opportunity to make profit on it. It came on the list on the 7th of July, didn't trigger until the 11th of July. And I held it for 1 day. Took profit here on the 12th, right at 838. So slightly below which was at the target. I mean, the target was 840, and I took it at 838. And the following, couple of days, it broke through 840 as well. It hit 850. So had you held on to it, that would have been even a better winner. But right now, it just looks like it's forming another base. And then the last of the winners was CPLP, another quick one. That one, unfortunately, I didn't capture the entire profit potential on this one, but it did capture the profit target. So this one came on the list on the 7th, based on information on 6. This move on the 6 looked pretty bullish, very strong move. So the idea was to break this level of resistance and try and capture the profit window from here to here. And that one launched on right there on the 12th, and then I held it for 2 days. So I held it actually the 13th, and then launched, and then took profit on the 14th. So that one wasn't too bad. I thought there was a stock I remember that I could have captured a higher. Probably it was BLFS, the one we talked about, but. Yesterday it was struggling to break the 390, which my target was at 396 for this one, and I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and then I got distracted with something else and decided, I'm going to just take profit at 394, and I did. So a couple cents less than our target, but overall a 4% winner. Stock looks strong. The chart looks strong. Probably it has this level kind of to challenge over here, maybe around 407. If it breaks that, we might have some kind of move here in this area. All right, now let's talk about the losers. The first one was RESN. RESN launched on the 11th of, sorry, on the 10th of July. Why is this wrong? So that plan was, this one was to launch at 486 here, and profit target at 514 with a stop loss at 470. I guess what happened is it barely touched this on the 10th. It really just kind of touched that target level. I entered, and then the following day it just crashed. So that was just a quick loss, probably because I didn't wait, for confirmation, or it might have been just I got the alert and just hit buy right away without looking too much at the chart or seeing the volume or the inflow. But next day it just dropped to the abort price, and we exited that one at 470. So it was only a 3% loss, but no big deal. I don't think there's anything I could have done better other than just holding or waiting for confirmation that this level is really getting broken. Next one was RSO, and that's the one I talked about. That was kind of miserable because this was a very long time ago. Came on the launch list on June 5th, and kept waiting for it to break, and it actually launched here on June 9th. Well, actually, I didn't enter that. I entered June 26th. So here, this is the day I entered it, and kept holding on to it. It did actually make a move all the way to 1056, so that was probably a good place to at least try to take profit. And let me put a resistance level here, see where that might have been. Well, it's in the gap, so you can't really tell. I mean, the plan was to target a 6% profit target, but that didn't happen. What happened was it started, coming back, folding back, and tested these two levels. Last week we talked about it probably pulling to this level, maybe the 200-day. It came close to testing the 200-day on Friday. Probably it will. I mean, just based on the trajectory of the trend, and then maybe bounce off of that. So, but anyway, it was a loser for 4% loser. When it's a large price stock, a 4% kind of hits you a little bit. But it is what it is. I kind of knew it was stalling, and maybe should have taken earlier the loss, but just decided to follow the process as much as I can. And then last one was CEI. That's kind of the sub-dollar stock that I talked about. Those moves very quickly during the day, so I mean it's very hard to capture profit on this one unless you have your stop loss really, really large. And I already had that at 9%, and it still wasn't large enough. So the plan for this one was to launch at 35 cents with a profit target at 40 cents, just based on prior momentum action. It didn't occur. It did launch at 35 cents on the 13th. So on Thursday it touched that, broke that, and then came back right away. So I exit right away. But I don't know. I mean, putting your stop loss all the way down here to 28 is a big percent loss from 35 to 28. That's close to 20% or something like that. So I wouldn't have held it. It does look strong still, and possibly might blast through this Monday and move higher, but I don't know. Sub penny stocks or sub dollar stocks are just hard to predict and to use technical analysis on, so it's just a matter of playing Russian roulette, or you just throw your trade in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, and as long as you don't take a large size, you're okay. So all right, so that was kind of the recap for the week. Very healthy week, and we'll go back to the slide just to look at the accuracy. So if anything, I'm proud about the accuracy this week. Was pretty good. 8 out of the 11 ones hit our target, or higher or lower, but they were profitable. So moving on. Why does it always do that? Sorry, guys. There you go. So portfolio-wise, we made a little bit incremental gain of about $4,000 in the portfolio, and this is again beginning from the beginning of the year. Total 377 trades, portfolio growth almost 800%. So from 25K to 224. So we're very close to 225, which kind of marks. It's not going to be the 10K per se, because this accounts only for the profit, but kind of flatlining over the last few weeks. And I think the problem is that the share size that I have it capped at 2,500, and that one I chose when my account size was $25,000, just from a risk perspective. Maybe moving forward, I might increase the share size per trade, or I might just resize the shares back to, or the capital back to 25K and start that way again. We'll see how the next few weeks play out. But overall, very successful portfolio. The process works if you follow the right risk management techniques and share sizing. And just take your emotions out of it. That's the key of this one. All right. Overall statistics, the performance card from a statistics point of view, we've got, like I said, 377 launches to date. We aborted 136, which puts us as an accuracy of 64%. So 241 successful versus 136 out of the 377 puts us about 64% accuracy. Out of those 241 launches, 126 were above target, 33 were at target, and 82 were below target. Overall profit to loss ratio. So this is the actual profit to loss ratio. So if I look at all the winners, how much profit they made, all the losers, how much loss they made, divide those two averages together, gives me 266. So other people call this profit factor 2. The profit factor in this case would be 2.6. You know, it's just basically that one, this number divided by 100, which means that on average, I make profit twice as much, or 2.6 times as much as I lose. So, you know, if for, let's say, if I make a profit of, you know, $2.66 versus a loss of $1 on average per trade or per stock, and then the average profit per launch is 4.4%, or 4.5%, which means that every single launch out of the 377, if you're averaging everything out, every trade that was taken brought in roughly 4.5% of whatever capital invested in that specific trade. So if you look at the compounding effect, so basically the 4.5%, you compound that over 377 trades, that kind of gives you where that 798 number came from. So just different ways. It's all math. People like to read data different ways, so there's no right or wrong way to analyze, but this is kind of what I'm coming up with as a metric or as a tracking of performance for myself. And if you find it useful, you can tweak it, modify it the way you'd like. Oops, and then we got here, I took out 2016 data moving forward, so just focusing now on 2017 on a weekly basis. What's the profit taking accuracy? And you can see we're kind of hovering. Highest accuracy was 90%, lowest accuracy was basically prior week, which was at 30, I think it was 38%. We still ended up green last week, if you remember. I talked about that. So we're averaging somewhere, I would say, around the 60, well, the data shows 64%, so that's truly the average around here, which is still a very healthy accuracy perspective. And in terms of profit on a weekly basis, so the best week we had was in January, and then we had a significant drop here in February, and then we're bouncing up and down since then. Again, we're trending around 4.5 overall, so that's, if you put an average line, it will go through this level here, and still pretty healthy from a return on a weekly basis. And then for this week, this is where we ended up from average profit to loss ratio for all the stocks that were selected just for this week's launch list. We were about 175%, and we ended up with an accuracy of 73%, which puts us well within this winning zone. So another successful week with being placed in the right place in our winning zone. Stocks that are currently in flight. So we've got one stock, which is Sand, and let's take a look at that chart. That's a gold, I think it's a gold related stock, so it's kind of whippy based on the it seems like it's whippy based on what the market is doing. So if I go on a daily chart, and the profit window for that one, it came on the launch list, I believe, on the probably 13th or 14th. I'm just gonna put it here on the 14th for now, 13th for now. So the target there was to go to 462, and an abort price at $4, and entry at 420. Now it did launch on Thursday. Couldn't push all the way beyond 23, and then came back and gave a little bit back. And then yesterday it hit the 420 again, and it still couldn't push higher. So I'm still holding on to it. I think it looks healthy because it held the 200-day moving average. We had it's kind of like almost a doji. You can't see it, but it ended up closing at around like 415, I believe. And I mean, the idea was for it to break this level here. So I think, probably, I have to go back to my spreadsheet quickly just to see when this actually launched, or when it came on the list. So this was on our list on the 11th. Well, yeah, that's what I thought, because it was probably based on this action here. So this came on the list on the 11th. Yeah, based on this action. So the idea was if we broke this resistance, which was prior, I think it was an intraday resistance. 711, this is 710, 711, yeah. So the idea, if we broke this level here, $4.20, we would have an opportunity to go to 462, which is all the way to this pivot. And guys, bear with me. When I move it with my mouse, it messes up things. There we go. So that was kind of our plan. It's still holding. I'll wait to see what this level is here. So maybe we'll have a challenge at 430, I guess, before it goes to 462 and all these levels. I think what this talk was, I was actually trying out the new Holly suggested. So on Trade Ideas, if you choose any stock right now, it will give you kind of a guideline of where the potential profit window is and where the smart stop would be, which is a little bit more generous than I like for my own risk management. So this was one of the stocks that I tried to say, okay, I'm going to try it out and see how good the AI is. And that's why I gave myself, you know, a fairly large profit window and a fairly large loss window there. It's still, the profit to loss on this one is still within the 195, so it's still within what I like to see. But it's just that I think there's a lot of resistance before it gets to the 462 level. So you can decide whether you want to, you know, chase this one or not. But I'm gonna hold on to it at least to 430 and see what happens. And then in terms of stocks that are waiting to launch, I'm not going to talk about most of these because I think we discussed them all last week, other than the ones that came recently. So the ones that came on the list throughout this week, let me double check here. So this week started on, just basically seeing the week of the July 14th that we're recapping, so it would be anything above the week of 10 that I haven't talked about. So anything that came on the launch list. So these four items here, ONS, SC, WX, PRX, and MEET. We can go over those quickly on the chart. So let's switch to the chart. First one is ONS. ONS came on the list for based on this action here on the 10th, came on the list for the 11th, entry at 141, which would break this level here, and then basically break this level here and then move up to the resistance of this candle at 151. So that's like a 10-cent move, profit target of 7%, and abort price at the low of this candle. So it hasn't launched yet. It came on the list, like I said, on the 10th. Sorry, on the 11th, based on action on the 10th. So it's still waiting to be launched. I think it's, at this point, it's dropping below the daily moving averages, so it might have lost its momentum. But the volume has been low, so we'll see. In case of you're wondering what these symbols are, short, long, this is a new strategy I'm testing on TradingView. It's kind of a technical chart, and if it doesn't work 100%, that's why I'm just continuing to test it. But if you look at some of these charts that I've been showing you, and you note the short and long, some of them are actually pretty accurate, especially on the daily, kind of telling you. So this is kind of an indicator that tells me, okay, I need to go long in this stock, and just based on my strategy, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but until I really test it thoroughly and think about it. I mean, if you look back here, for example, gave a indication to go long. It was pretty good, that one, all the way back here, short here, and look what it did after that. So here it gave me a long indicator. We'll see if that plays out or not. It hasn't launched yet, but it's worth putting on your launch list or watch list. Next one is SCWX. So that one had all the nice characteristics based on this move here on the 12th. So the idea was to break this level of resistance, which is the high of that day. And then you have, kind of this area to play with. So profit target would be at the bottom of this candle here, which would be kind of the closing price of that day. So idea to enter at 11, take profit at 11.48 with a abort price at 10.80. So last 2 days since it came on the launch list, it hasn't done very well. It broke the 200-day moving average. It's not a good sign. It doesn't trade a lot during the day, and it seems to be very reppy inside the day itself. So you could steer clear of this if you want to. It's a higher price stock, so the loss would be significant if we had to abort this one. So I don't know. It just looked good at this time because of this candle, and now it's not looking as good. Although you could argue this is a nice cup and a little handle below average volume, so that's why I'm keeping it. I think if it breaks this resistance here, it has good room to push in this zone. All right, next one is last one, which is MEET, and again, this came on the list on the 13th, so Thursday. Based on action, prior days looked like it was trending upwards, cleared all daily moving averages. If you broke this level of resistance here, we have this kind of big red candle, which is sort of a gap, but it's not a true gap per se, but still trying to capture that 5%, to 6%. So I have a 5% target profit at $5.70 with a profit to loss ratio of 208%, with an abort price at the bottom of this candle, so around 530 level. So that would be my abort price here. All right, and that's all that is left from the new stocks to watch. I'm going to publish a new launch list, working on that tonight, and I'll publish it later tonight, so you get it tomorrow. You'll have it ready, I guess, for tomorrow. And then there we go. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the July test drive. So Trade Ideas is a software that I use to find all these stocks. It has fantastic scanners. It has artificial intelligence that does live trading during the day. You can see the performance of the entry and exits. It doesn't automatically trade for you, although there is a new feature that it does that called Brokerage Plus. If you have Interactive Brokers as a brokerage account, you can actually link you can link Trade Ideas to IB, and it will automatically trade for you from within Trade Ideas platform directly. However, there are so many fantastic features in Trade Ideas. I really want you guys to try it out. If you have been struggling to find new stocks or good ideas, or even a strong community, Trade Ideas is the one to be with. I go on their in the chat room. They have a free chat room every single day. I'm most of the time in there. I don't talk a lot because I'm usually at work, but it's still a fantastic thing to try out. They have a test drive that starts tomorrow, Monday. So if you haven't signed up, you're only going to cost you $8.88, but it'll give you full access to the entire software, every single feature. And it's not just they're going to give you the software and leave you alone. You go and actually attend the free chat room every single day. They have 4 webinars they're going to offer over the next week. I think they might actually increase that next week. Plus, if you decide to use the price alerts and, like, say you have a stock that you think is going to be a strong winner, the person who predicts a highest move on a given stock using the price alerts, which is a feature on their software, will get a free annual subscription to TI Premium. So, you know, you're putting in $8.88, but you might actually win a $1,800 value. So I would highly recommend it. All you need to do is just go follow this link, which I'll have in the video, bit.ly/tryholly. So I really, if you guys want to really try it out, this is the time. You have a few hours before you can sign up for it. It starts tomorrow all the way through Friday. You get to see all the features. You get to try it out. I wish somebody would have pushed me really hard to get into trade ideas a few years ago. Would have saved me a lot of pain. It has changed the way I trade significantly. So I can't overemphasize that. If you have your cell phone, you can scan this QR code. It will take you there as well. You only have to pay $8.88, and you get a feature that's almost $50. So that week is worth about $50 of value. So I wouldn't pass that out. All right. Again, the link is right there, and if you click on that link in particular, you help me out because I'm an affiliate of them. It helps me out with a little bit of commission, but I'm really mentioning this because it is a very fantastic tool to use. All right, and with that, I'm gonna call it quits. You can always, send me a note in the comments below, write me an email, follow me on any of these social media channels, and I wish you guys a fantastic, profitable week next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.